Hey, it's Ika here, just doing a quick follow-up video to my team building video. This will be talking about some of the less important things, but still stuff to consider when building a sword and shield BSS team. I'm going to talk specifically in this video about basically how to check the meta and what Pokemon are important and what Pokemon are less important. I've already talked about Dragon Ball Extra and Mimikyu. You need 2 checks for each, in my opinion. Around abouts, you can have more or less depending on how you want to manipulate Team Preview. To give an example of this, let's say I have on my team a Corviknight, a Hippowdon, and my a Scarf Darmanitan or my own Excadrill, then that by having those Pokemon I dissuade my opponent from picking Excadrill at Team Preview. So you can also overload on checks to manipulate your opponent into not bringing certain Pokemon that you don't play very well against, or you just rather not see in games. Like Togekiss is another one that you can stack on multiple electric types. Rotom Heat plus Dracozolt, or Rotom Heat plus Duraludon. These are two, having both of those on your team. When they may still bring Togekiss anyways, or having that plus Excadrill, they may bring Togekiss anyways, but that can really dissuade people from bringing that threat. But yeah, I was going to talk just basically about some of the checks, what Pokemon are the most important in the meta to check, what Pokemon can be kind of grouped together when you're thinking of, okay, I need something to check this. So these 3 Pokemon unique. You need to treat them as standalone threats, because there's nothing that does similar jobs to them, and they have their own unique threats. Togekiss and Corviknight, these 2 of a plus rank, you treat them exactly the same. Generally, you want one hard Togekiss check. You want something that beats Corviknight. Generally a special attacker with a fire or electric move, ideally 2 for Corviknight, just so you have a bit of flexibility. Really easy ones are easy things to check Corviknight, like Rotom Forms, which also check Togekiss to an extent, but with Togekiss you often want multiple checks, or with Corviknight you can run Nasty Plot Hydreigon can break through Corviknight, so you have different options there, whereas Nasty Plot Hydreigon's rubbish against Togekiss. T-Tar, kind of thing with T-Tar is it has a unique-ish and a threat, but if you're doing good checks to Excadrill, you will probably most likely have a decent check to T-Tar, since they share similar weaknesses. So the ground and fighting weaknesses, like Conkeldurr checks both Tyranitar and Excadrill. Corviknight checks both most Tyranitars and most Excadrills. Not all of them. Gyarados checks both. Intimidate Gyarados checks both T-Tar and Excadrill as well. So those are just examples of where you're just where you can use your and Snorlax kind of checks both of them as well, depending on your sets. In the 4 attacks Snorlax or 3 attacks checks both of these guys. So whereas you deal with Togekiss and these 3 as important threats, you have to realize that there's and Corviknight, these are the 5 that you deal with individually. Then other Pokemon here are I don't want to call them lesser versions, but if you've checked these 5 properly, you'll be at least part way through checking other ones. So like if you check the Rotom forms, you will probably have a check for Dracozolt or for Toxtricity. That will probably most likely be the same check, although they have unique attributes as well. Like, but Excadrill checks every single, like, checks all of the boxes, so to speak, when you're thinking of Rotom check as well as a Dracozolt check. Similar with Corviknight and Ferrothorn, often Corviknight's checks, like Rotom Heat, for example, is a Corviknight check, and it checks both Corviknight and Ferrothorn. Basically, if I'm gonna write it down actually. Ooh. Notes pads. Here, so important ones: Dragapult checks needed. Dragapult, X2, Excadrill, X2. And what I'm going to do in brackets is put like what this should also help cover. So it should also, that will also probably, just by like virtue of the typing and stuff, will help cover Tyranitar. So like Hippo covers both Excadrill and T-Tar. So does Corviknight, so does Conkeldurr. These are examples. Hydreigon is different enough from Dragapult typing wise that you really Hydreigon can kind of be under here, like Dragon ? But I would recommend getting something unique for Hydreigon because it has a different moveset. Togekiss is on its own ×1. Though these have some overlaps with other Pokemon, like other Max Air Streamers, Togekiss is like a unique beast. Rotom forms, I'm gonna call them, like generally, like all of them can be put in this, and you put like Electrics. This is, and obviously multiple Pokemon can like cover these, like one Pokemon can be both a Dragapult and an Excadrill check. Then Snorlax is an individual ×1. It's brings a unique enough presence that it doesn't come under these stuff that checks Excadrill, like maybe your own Excadrill or Corviknight can struggle to check Snorlax because of stuff like Yawn and the multitude of sets that it can run, like Belly Drum, Curse Recycle, Darkest Lariat. If you don't have Taunt on your Corviknight, so it's best to have a solid in general Snorlax check. AV Snorlax is also like a bit of a menace. Like Gyarados can check Excadrill, kinda can check Tyranitar, kinda if it's Intimidate. Talking of Gyarados, Gyara is basically, I think Gyara is probably like needs a check on its own. It's not as important as Togekiss, but generally something like Rotom forms that check Togekiss will also check Gyara. But Rotom Heat is better against Togekiss, and Rotom Wash is, or even Rotom Mow. I wouldn't recommend Rotom Mow, is better than Rotom Heat. Snorlax actually checks both Gyara and Togekiss, so there are some overlap with Togekiss here. Also, in here, Cloyster is another one that like has some overlap. Darm Gala is actually one that you need a check to, and generally you want something that just like outspeeds it. Scarf-Hide Dragon or can at least live one hit. So like Rotom Form can live any one hit. Snorlax and Bulking can live a hit and get Berry back, or try to think what else here, like some of the fairy types, Sylveon and Aegislash is like one that can bone over Darm, or even Rhyperior is good. What else in A minus? Like Rotom is not too important to. If you check Rotom Wash and Rotom Heat, you probably have a Rotom check. Grimmsnarl, I wouldn't say. Just have something for some way to deal with screens. Well, more just some way to set up or waste time or phase and stuff like that. But that's just a general team building thing. Hippo is kind of unique in its own way as well. I'll just put Taunters, which will like deal with like Hippo and Sylveon, or Lom for Hippo, Sylveon, and then it can also kind of do Grimmsnarl as well to an extent. Maybe not. Maybe Grimmsnarl needs something slightly different. These are less important. Charizard, like if you got Togekiss checks, the same ones check Charizard. Rotom Wash doesn't check Charizard as well, but it doesn't check Togekiss quite as well. So, but this Charizard kind of comes under here. Aegislash is kind of its own thing, but it doesn't really have checks. You just trade with it. Stuff that checks Dragapult can sometimes. Well, no, not really. Aegislash is a unique thing, but most of these Pokemon can kill Aegislash. Not all of them, but like if you're picking a top Pokemon, you're gonna be able to kill Aegislash. It's gonna trade with you basically. Ditto, not too important. Durant, basically having fire type attacks and being able to Dynamax any special attacker, really. So that kind of goes with Corviknight-ish. If you have something that checks Corviknight, you probably have. I should put Corviknight times on here. This will like kind of check. You'll probably get something that will check Durant-ish, or at least live a hit. Lastly, like what's important, Gastro. I'll put like Grass type move for Gastro, Seismitoad, to a lesser extent Rhyperior, although that can be done with water type moves as well. And then you want like Stormbreaker for like Pex, Corsola, Quag, Umbreon, Sylveon, etc. So yeah, these are like, if you tick off these boxes, I've added a few more because I didn't kind of go complete on it. You probably have a decent team. Like a lot of this stuff, like you're probably not going to be destroyed by Dracovish if you have like a decent Garachek, because Garachek, you're gonna have something that can switch into Dracovish or Dracosaur. But I like, once you've got those main checks down, you go to less important Pokemon, but still unique. Like stuff that beats DD Gara is probably gonna beat Haxorus. You know, stuff that like breaks through Gastro, probably gonna break through Quag and Clef. But yeah, some of these have unique attributes to them. But just having those checks, I should put bulky water is important. Water is important here for like Cinderace, Rotom, well not Rotom Heat, sometimes Rotom, Certain H, and Dracovish, Gara, etc. But yeah, bulky water, this comes under extra drill check as well. Yeah, just wanted to give you guys like a bit more like in detail, like beyond like the few most important things that I mentioned in the last video. Yeah, so I hope that helps.